Hello everybody and welcome to the European Session Brief. We're on Wednesday the 19th of April 2023. We've had the European Open, that was around an hour ago, so I just wanted to cover a few things which have kicked off our day, mainly coming from the UK this morning so far. If I open up our economic calendar, you'll see why. All this data has already been with us this morning and it's not too pretty, basically for the UK, for the Bank of England. Inflation data, consumer prices, CPI rising at 10.1% year on year versus an estimated 9.8%. It's pretty grim. The Bank of England have even more of a mess on their hands now. I'm just going to open the cable, seeing as though we are discussing the UK and of course related to the pound here. And getting to be a bit of a shambles. I mean, jobs markets starting to soften, inflation sticky, let's say, above 10%. Activity is starting to roll over. Bank of England 25 basis points next month, but also it seems like they're quite itchy to hit the pause button. A lot of the noises which have been coming out of the BOE as of late are that this would have been the last hike, but we've got inflation which is not going away. It's still above 10%. If you compare it to the US, which has dropped down to 6% or less now, 5% I think we had. Eurozone 7%, still high, but I mean the UK we're at 10% still, month on year on year. So it's just something which isn't going away, and the BOE seem to be pretty relaxed about it, and I'm not sure about that. There doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel for inflation, so I don't know how they can be wanting to pause the hiking at this present point, essentially. I'm not too sure how constructive this is for the pound as well, medium to long term, inflation being so high. I mean, inflation theory behind it being higher than others should suggest we see, especially with the BOE wanting to pause, it should not be good news for the pound. I mean, the pound's initial reaction this morning has been bid because, you know, the hotter than expected news should be suggesting the BOE needs to tighten further. But again, all the noises that have been coming out of the BOE has not been the case. I mean, we've got 7 months running now of CPI greater than 10%, 9 months since we first broke the 10% mark. The BOE can talk about lagged policy effects and forecast inflation falling as much as they like, but reality is they failed to do their sole job, which is bring down inflation. You know, there's other places such as the US. I mean, the Fed have been criticized quite significantly, and you know, by a lot of commentators and market analysts, etc. But inflation is definitely coming down. You can't say the same in the UK. So yeah, interesting times, it must be said, and the next BOE meet should be of interest, and we'll continue to monitor data into that. But that reading not pretty this morning at all. Technically, the cable is probably heading for a retest of that double top high that we've just seen at 125.25. That's probably the main level overhead. The FTSE is relatively muted. I mean, it is heading slightly lower, but still on the week. You know, this was the Monday Open. We're absolutely flat on where we closed on Friday now, basically trading at Friday's close. The DAX 15,880, you can see overhead we've got 15,975 within reach now, so not too far away. Strong day yesterday, but did fail to get a higher close. Today is just giving back a little bit of those gains. Not really much direction yet today. The euro, again, not much going on so far today. We saw some moves lower over the past 24 hours, but just regaining some of that, and you're starting to see these high lows continuously being put in here. And the most recent one just at around above that 1.09 handle. So looking to move higher based on the higher lows that we've been getting. Can we secure a high and get above the 1.08 and make new highs into 111? Let's have a look at some of the headlines this morning in terms of what else is going on in the world. Goldman Sachs, their traders failed to capitalize on the fixed income bonanza the rest of Wall Street did generate last quarter. It contributed to a firm-wide revenue that fell short of analyst estimates. They released their earnings yesterday. Fixed income trading revenue declined 17%. Goldman was the only major Wall Street bank so far to have posted a drop for that business, even though the performance was the firm's third best in the past decade. So maybe some of them bonuses for the fixed income traders might be getting chopped as well. The bank offloaded a chunk of its roughly 4 billion Marcus loan book, which led to a $440 million reserve release. The firm's profit was higher than analysts expected, but earnings were still down 19% from a year earlier. Russia concerns. There's a Bloomberg headline here saying that senior Russian officials privately raised concerns some 10 months ago about the risks of becoming too dependent on Chinese technologies after sanctions by the US and the European Union shut off access to alternative suppliers. Fox News in the US has agreed to pay $787 million to settle a voting machine maker's defamation lawsuit over the network's 2020 election broadcast, striking a deal on the brink of a potentially embarrassing trial. The settlement for almost half the $1.6 billion Dominion voting system sought, and far above some analyst estimate, came to light yesterday in a courtroom. Not too much else really. What else have we got today? We do have European CPIs coming out. So we've had the UK, and if I just double check that calendar, we should be getting them pretty soon. The core CPI out of the Eurozone. So we'll be watching that in the headline as well, of course. So let's see if it's heading in the same direction of the UK, which is basically sticky inflation. Will that be the same case for the Eurozone too? And of course that could give us either a quick short-term boost in the euro if we're coming slightly hotter than expected, like we've seen with the cable. That might just be that edge higher back into 1.103 that we could be looking for. Not too much else really. I think that's more or less everything that I wanted to discuss this morning. I will post in the chat room if there's anything else, but until next time, I wish you all the best of your trading. Take care and bye for now.